Hey, what up, everybody? This is your host, Ryan Sketch. Welcome to Sketchbook Audio YouTube edition. That's right, not only am I broadcasting Sketchbook Audio via Anchor, I am also going to be doing this on YouTube. I figured a lot of my YouTube channel is wasted. There's a lot of wasted space where I haven't done much of anything, and I could be doing one of three things. I could be doing this. I could be doing, we got all cars and design, or I could be doing the voiceover acting, which I'm going to get back into it. I just got to find my groove, and I have some things up my sleeve that I'm going to be working on, so stay tuned because that should pop up soon. And the third thing I could be doing is, I forget. There's tons of different things I could be doing on YouTube. So I am choosing to do Sketchbook Audio. And I guess I could call it Sketchbook AV now, audio, video, visual, I don't know. Point is, I've been gone for a while, haven't I? And that's not good. That is not a good thing, especially if you're trying to maintain a sort of presence, on the interwebs. That said, I'm back. Let me give you a little bit of a background of where I've been, because it's a dark story that has led to some really good things, and I think you guys will all enjoy and hopefully maybe learn from it or just take something away that brings you up and makes you feel better, because there's a give and take to this. In March, and I probably had an episode where I talked about this, but in March, my grandmother passed away. She was my best friend. She was the one who really encouraged me to be me. And what I mean by that is I'm the artist in the family of a bunch of people who were either teachers, doctors, business people, or just managers of some sort. And there's like nobody in my family that's got a creative mind. Aside from my uncle, whom, though we're not related, by blood anyways, he's a musical, I don't want to say genius, but he's very, very talented at what he does. He can't sing for shit. He actually can rap, though, which is funny. He's a white guy that speaks Mandarin and Spanish and Italian and English. He can kind of free flow, which is weird at 65 years old. But he plays guitar like Johnny Cash wishes he could. So I got that from him. In fact, my guitar's over here. So after my grandmother passed away, a good friend of mine passed away. Rick Marola, you are never forgotten. You are missed on a daily basis by so many people. Let me give you a little bit of background about Rick. Rick was older than me, but you would have never guessed. He had the spirit and the lifeblood, the life force of a teenager. And he was one of the guys who first brought me into cosplay. And when I found out that he passed away suddenly, it left a hole in my heart, because I just lost my grandmother and now I lost a good friend of mine. Somebody who taught me what it is to just never give up on people. Good people. I mean, there comes a point in time where sometimes you just got to take a step back from certain individuals and let them be their self-destructive self, but still kind of be there and like, hey, look, if you ever decide to change your mind, I'm here. But Rick offered me his couch so many times when I would just come into town. He lived in Columbus area, and Columbus, Ohio. He never said no. And it's not because he couldn't say no or he didn't want to say no. It's because he didn't have to. And it just wasn't in him to turn somebody down. And he just was a good person. I lost, a lot of people lost him. He's gone, but he is with us. And man, what a great human being. He was charitable. He was honest. He was strong. The dude was like 6'7", larger than life. He looked like Thor. In fact, his greatest cosplay was Thor and Santa Claus. So I think you can get a good mental picture. Um, you can look him up on Instagram or Facebook, Rick Marola, and just inspiration. Shortly after that, I found out that my dog had early stages of cancer, and not too long after that, after 15 and a half-ish years, he passed as well. And my dog had been with me for a very long, well, 15 years, but I actually gave him to my parents kind of as a thank you. And then my dad moved to, well, okay, so my dog was with me for the longest time, like 4 or 5 years. And then I found out my dad was taking a job from Cleveland to Michigan, so he was now having to transfer to Michigan. And my mom was going to be all by herself. So I said, Mom, if you're willing to take care of him and, give him what he needs, here. So she took ownership of my dog, and he lived a very, very good 15 and a half years. So not complaining. Shortly after that, I found out, well, actually, it was like right around, man. So I lost my job in April, like right after Rick passed away. So I lost my job, and then I was like, it comes in threes, I hope, and that's it. It's done, but I can't. I don't think I can take anymore. I lose my job, and then I struggled to find another job doing what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to get out of engineering. But then I got a phone call out of nowhere from a place that I had never applied to, never even thought to. And it was Fox Shocks, Fox Racing, Fox Factory, whatever you want to call it, out in San Diego, California. And I really wasn't in a position to move to San Diego, California. In fact, I'm getting married in October. And, hold your applause. No, okay, go ahead and applaud. But she's a great girl, but she's staying in Michigan, and I had to move to California to take this job. So here I am in sunny San Diego. You can't tell at all where I'm at. I'm just in a room. And on my way here, on my drive, because I drove from Michigan to California, that's when I got my phone call that my dog had passed away. And I'm in the middle of the desert, just bawling my eyes out on the top of this mountain in Moab. And it was bittersweet because it was time, and I knew he was going to be in pain, so I'm happy he went the way he did. But at the same time, I lost really a big part of me and my best friend. So, and that's on top of everything else that had just transpired mere months prior. So I made the trek across to San Diego, and it was awesome. In fact, one of the things I want to talk about after this little story is the new car that I got. And I'm going to post, well, you know what, if you're already following Sketchbook_audio on Instagram, then you've already seen it. But we are going to do an episode where I will do a little walk around of the new whip, and that is a 2019 Toyota RAV4 Adventure. Now, I never would have given the RAV4 even a first glance, let alone a second glance, and then this one came out, this new generation came out, and I was captivated by two things. One, the aesthetic of it. I got to see it at the Chicago and the New York Auto Show. I didn't get to see the model that I got, and it's certainly not the color, which is Blue Flame, or Flame Blue, whatever you want to call it. But there were some neat touches to it, and the ones I saw were pre-production, so not everything was up to snuff. But I liked it, and it was pretty cool. Plus, all the orange accents, like this orange, just run through that vehicle perfectly. So whoever did the interior design work on that car, good job. So anyways, I will do a full walk around of the vehicle. We'll go through some minor details here and there, tell you from an aesthetic standpoint what I think that the designers really got right, where they could have added some more, and on both interior and exterior. So hopefully you guys tune in for that. That's going to come up tomorrow. And a special bonus to that is I'm going to be out at Otay Lake, which is somewhere south of where I'm at right now, and I'm going to take the vehicle off-roading. So stay tuned for that. I'm also going to post some videos from when I was in Moab onto the Sketchbook _ audio, which maybe I need to call it Sketchbook AV. I like that. Sketchbook audio or Sketchbook AV. You tell me. Leave me comments. Leave me a message. You can do it on anchor.fm. Either make your own account, or I think you can just go ahead and leave me a message. Yeah, or leave me one on Instagram. Either way. But let's get to what we actually... Oh, and to finish the story about me coming here, it was painful, but it needed to happen. And I'm one of those people who believe that everything happens for a reason. So I think I'm here for a pretty good reason. So far, I've had a lot of fun, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun now that I am back in on this with not only YouTube, but the podcast to go with it. And that's anchor.fm, or the Anchor app on your iPhone or Android. And you can listen to my podcast through Google Podcasts, through iTunes, through iHeartRadio, Stitcher, you name it, it's there. Please follow me. Please listen. Give me a follow on the Instagram account. I love meeting new people, and say hello. If you're new to this show, obviously everybody's new to the video aspect of it, but if you're new, basically Sketchbook Audio is all about the design of a car. I don't stay on one car for too long. I run through a bunch of vehicles that are either new to the market, are conceptual, or some things that some of my friends have come up with, and we'll talk about that. And actually, I'm going to bring up a point about that shortly. I'm going to keep this episode short, so again, thank you for tuning in. This is Sketchbook Audio, and I'm your host, Ryan Sketch, both on YouTube and on Anchor.fm. So let's get to it. There hasn't been a ton of news the past week. Obviously, I've been gone for a while, so there has been car news that is relevant to the design aspect for months now, because I've been gone for months. And a lot of interesting things have transpired. Things that have really caught my eye in the automotive world. And one of those things I briefly want to talk about is my love for wagons. Now, this news came out last week, and a lot of people have been waiting with bated breath for Audi to officially announce it, because some people rumored it, hinted at it, and they thought, if the market's good enough for it, if there's a demand for it, we might. But Audi officially announced that they are bringing the RS6 Avant to the United States. Funk yeah. I can't say the F word legitimately. Oh, but I want to, because that car is just pure... it's baby-making music, really. Just the engine on that thing. I can't even tell you the specs, but here's the thing about Sketchbook Audio. I'm not here to talk about horsepower and torque and drive ratios and all that stuff. I don't care. There's other websites for that. There's other podcasts for that. What I'm here to talk about is the aesthetics. And let me tell you, the RS6 Avant, which is the station wagon of sorts, has aesthetic in spades. It nails the sport. It nails the utility. It nails sexy to the wall. And then things happen. It's... I'm going to post pictures on the Sketchbook and Sketchbook _ audio Instagram page so you guys can further see what I'm drooling about. I may or may not have an erection over it that should come as no surprise. No pun intended. Another wagon, and I'm going to come back to the Audi RS6 Avant, but because I'm looking for it on Autoblog. But another wagon that's still holding its own, and I'm happy it's still here. I'm happy Volvo is still making it, but it's the V90 wagon. And then you can throw in, of course, the XC60 and the XC90. They're all getting refreshed or modified. And why people keep driving towards SUVs and crossovers is beyond me. When you have this perfectly good sedan with a back end of it, you know, and not a lot of people in America like hatchbacks, particularly because they are small generally. But a wagon or an Estate or an Avant, they have so much practicality. And with Volvo, the damn thing's lifted for the most part. Not so much the V90, but the XC models, the cross-country ones, they're lifted and they have an off-road-esque appearance. And actually, they do handle, you know, like dirt roads and gravel roads pretty well. So don't bat an eye at them. They hold their own. Same thing goes with like the Audi Allroad. All of their Allroad series, whether it's the 6 or the 4, they do pretty well, and they look good too. So I'm happy with them. I just wish everybody would get on board. I also wish people would do it right, because the BMW wagons and the Mercedes wagons, they aren't looking so great. Although the Mercedes CLA shooting brake, which we do not get here in the US, that's another beautiful car. That's like forbidden fruit that we will never have. So back to the RS6 Avant. It's like the perfect blend of the Audi e-tron sedan that was in Avengers. It's the perfect blend of that and, I don't know, like something that a god touched and stroked, I guess. It's just perfect. The interior is subtle. It's not overdone like the e-tron series. There's like a refined tech, and everybody's going to these big, massive dual screens and everything. And whether that's good or bad, I don't know. Frankly, it doesn't matter, because that's where we're going anyways. But at least Audi took a nice approach with the RS6 Avant by not overdoing it, kind of like how Mercedes has. Mercedes just has this big giant screen that goes across the dash and the gauge cluster that no longer exists, by the way. And it's just, I don't know. It's the same way I feel about the Tesla Model 3 and this big giant screen, but nothing else going on around it. Though at least Audi put some effort, I'll call it effort, into the rest of the aesthetic and the rest of the appeal and form and function inside their cabin, whereas Tesla is just like simple. Keep it simple. It's like an iPhone. You know, there's no frills. It's just a screen that works, air vents, and a steering wheel. What more do you need? Not much more. But I like the fact that Audi and BMW give you more to look at, which is distracting in a way, and I guess I get why Tesla didn't put a lot into things for you to look at while you're driving, but at the same time, it's supposed to be semi-autonomous. I can look a little bit. If dudes are falling asleep in the back seat while the car is just doing its thing, then I should be able to look around and see things in my cabin that I either like or dislike. I don't know. That's my opinion. I would love to hear what you guys think about autonomous cars versus, you know, cabins that are maybe convoluted, maybe overdone, but, you know, whatever. So moving on, I also, and if you guys have been listening to the show prior, I also have a love for lifted sedans, that unfortunately being called coupes. Can we first get this out in the air that coupe means two-door? Actually, you know what? I don't know that for certain. I'm just going off of what coupe has always been attached to for the past 100 years or more. Coupe is obviously a French word. But here you go. A car with a fixed roof, no convertible, 2 doors, and a sloping rear. Also known as, or historically, a 4-wheeled enclosed carriage for 2 passengers and a driver. Now, what that means is back in the day, they used to have a bench seat up front in a lot of coupes. Obviously that is gone because now you have like transmission tunnels and other things, shifters and blah blah blah. So you don't have a bench there, so you can't really have a third person in the middle. Like even the Chargers and Challengers of old, some of them had like a bench seat in the middle. Mustang never did, thank God. But there lies my dilemma. 2-door, sloping rear. Now, all of these auto manufacturers, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, they're making these vehicles that are basically a sedan that's been lifted, given a little bit more of a SUV stance, and then they slope the back end dramatically like a coupe car would be, but they still give it 4 doors. BMW at least gave the decency of calling it a Grand Coupe, though I don't know what the frick that means. I just don't like the name. I don't. But Mercedes came out with a new GLE, and the GLC is due to be refreshed. Swoon. The BMW X6 just got refreshed completely. It's a whole new vehicle. It is sexy, especially their off-road oriented one. I really want to get into how off-road it is. So, newsflash, I'm going to start going to dealerships, filming this, and getting a walkthrough of some of these vehicles that I love. And if you guys suggest anything that you want me to go look at, I will. But back to other vehicles that are coming out and new things down the pipeline. Have you seen the new Corvette Stingray? Have you? Because guess what? It's mid-engine, and it's under $60,000. Now, barely under $60,000. Oh, I can't. The fuck did I get 600 from? $60,000. You can easily up it to 70, and once the Z06 and the ZR1 come out, should they come out, rumor and speculation at this point, but when they do, they're going to have like 600, maybe even 800 horsepower, and that's going to be awesome. And they've even talked about a hybrid model. Now that's something that's interesting. How do you guys feel about a hybrid, let's say Viper or Corvette? Because Porsche has been doing some hybrids for a little while now. At least the 918 is a hybrid, and that's some crazy technology. But pretty much everything is running off of the whole KERS system, which is kinetic energy recovery systems. In fact, they've been using that in Le Mans and a couple other race-style performance vehicles for a little while. It's the regenerative braking that provides more energy to the vehicles. I don't know exactly how it works. I get the whole kinetic energy recovery thing, and when you brake, it absorbs the kinetic energy from the heat and then other things. But yeah, so I think that's what's coming. Lamborghini has teased that themselves, so don't be surprised if you start to see a lot more supercars or even hypercars. Oh, Lotus came out with a hypercar that's got well over 1,000 horsepower, and it's electric. So I think it's going to happen a lot more. I'm all for it. I love electric cars. And before we close this episode out, let me quickly talk about my events at Polestar. Now, if you're following the Sketchbook_audio Instagram account, you will see that I have posted quite a few pictures, even some videos, of my 2 events that I went to for Polestar. Polestar, by the way, briefly, is the performance car and fully electrified arm of Volvo. They're separate, but they're not. They're both owned by Geely, I believe, in China. There's some ownership there. And, of course, by the Swedes. So it's still a phenomenal company. They still kind of look Volvo-esque, but that's not a bad thing. But they're just a totally different car. Fully electric and fully badass. So I got the chance to sit and play with the Polestar 2, which is their sedan that's lifted. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's already happened before. And yes, it has. It was in the V60, the Volvo V60. So it was a sedan, the you had the S40, the S60, the S90, but the S60 got lifted. They put a little bit of cladding on the front and the back, and they made it kind of like the Subaru, what was it, Legacy or the Outback, where it was a sedan, and they lifted it, gave it beefier tires, got that ground clearance, so now you can actually go off-road a little bit, and I love it. Polestar says you can go off-road a little bit. Now, also Jaguar says you can go off-road in their I-Pace. I've seen it go off-road, and it does really well, but why the would you take your $80,000 vehicle off-roading, you ask? I mean, I guess people do it in Range Rovers and Land Rovers all the time, so why not? I'm going to. In fact, I've taken my car-based RAV4 out into Moab, and I did phenomenally, or surprisingly well. I need mud tires, though. I need, like, tires, not the bitch tires they put on that thing. The tires that I have on there are basically the same tires that are on a Corolla. So you imagine going through mud and dirt and rocks and all that stuff with those tires? I did okay because it's got a really good all-wheel drive system, but I won't do that again. So yeah, check out the Polestar 2. Let me know what you think about it, because I like it. I really do. There are a couple things, and I actually got the chance to talk with the CEO and some of the designers of the vehicle just to let them know that, hey, I love your vehicle. What do you think about putting the XC60 seats in your car in this bad boy? To which they responded, it's a whole materials and logistics nightmare trying to add more options and more colors and seat types and all that stuff. It might happen later down the road, but until Polestar really gets solidified as a solid company that makes their own cars. Polestar used to just tune cars. Now they are making their own cars. A version of it will be made in China. Another model will be made in Sweden, and then I believe they are also making them in North Carolina, somewhere around there. Yeah, maybe even making them in California. Who knows? But I know that's where their electric and battery testing and all that scientific BS goes on here in California, like near Irvine, I believe. But the Polestar is a true contender. I love it way more than the Tesla because it actually has a shit ton of functionality and practicality. It's got a huge trunk. No more jump seats in the back, which was really for the wagons, but man, jump seats in that car would be awesome. Tesla has them in the Model S, though. I will give them props for that. And then a fully integrated Android Auto architecture for its infotainment system and for pretty much everything else. Check it out on my Instagram page. I think you guys are really going to like it, and I'm going to have some conversations coming up here, either on the YouTube channel or on just on Anchor with some Polestar people, I think, in the very near future. That said, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm coming up on 29 minutes here. That's a perfect time to stop. Like I said, tomorrow I will be going out to Otay Lake and taking the RAV4 off-road a little bit. And then you guys get a brief glimpse as to what's going on inside and outside of the car, what I think about it. I want to hear what you guys think about it. And this is a graham cracker. So, peace out, and we'll see you tomorrow.